Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. I'm your host, Jim Tabor, along with Dr. Janine Fox and Dr. Kenny Bull, who is back with us again this morning. Dr. Jim Fox, still recovering for a little heart procedure.
Yeah, and he's doing much, much better. He should be back next week.
Okay.
He could have come back today, but of course I wanted him to wait a little bit longer. I'm overprotective, so
that's all right.
But he should for sure be back on the show next week.
Wives know better.
Yep. That's right. I always tell him he better listen to me.
Anyway, our phone lines are open at 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. This is a live call-in show in which we picked out a topic. Excuse me. We invite you to call in and ask questions regarding that subject, and we'll do the best we can do to answer your question. This is something we're talking about this morning, is talking about muscle health.
Yep.
And good exercise and everything like that. And Dr. Bull, I know you work out a lot.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit?
He definitely is the worker out over the two of us.
Well,
definitely him, not me.
Well, I mean, it is important to exercise for your muscle health.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
So, so strong muscles, obviously building muscles, you're going to increase bone density that way. You're going to decrease instances of chronic disease, diabetes, heart disease, things like that. Lots of research that exercise can actually increase brain function, creating new neurons in the brain, which will help prevent things like Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. So
yeah. Exercise definitely on the Alzheimer's and dementia have definitely been shown to be beneficial. And I know a lot of our viewers, not all of them are maybe in the more mature category. My husband don't like me to say a word. But it is very important to move and to do stuff, not just sit there.
Right.
And I think, everyone, even in the mature audience out there, they say you should at least have 150 minutes per week of exercise. So that is about 30 minutes 5 times a week. And so that's not that much. And anything is better than nothing. Right. So if you say, well, I can't do that. I got to do, I only got 15 minutes. Well, then do 15 minutes, because anything is better than nothing. So when we talk about exercise, everybody can do something. Just like we talked about a week or two ago, if you can't, even if you're in a wheelchair or you can't walk, move your arms, get some little dumbbells, do something. So there's something just about everybody can do.
Yeah, if you live in a house somewhere, just walking back and forth to the mailbox.
Yeah.
A few times a day. That's something that helps your heart rate.
Especially, I've had a few people before say, well, I exercise, I walk to my mailbox. And I'm like, well, that ain't very far. And they're like, well, my mailbox is a mile down the road. And I'm like, well, okay. Well, you do okay then.
Live out in the country, definitely.
Also depends on how far your mailbox is.
This is very true. So there are so many benefits, though, as we mentioned, about muscle fitness and what it has for you physically, mentally, and everywhere around.
Yeah, so it's really great for anti-aging, because one of the things about being strong or increasing muscle mass is being able to do activities of daily living, just everything around the house. As we get older, our muscles tend to break down a little bit easier. We lose muscle, so strength training's great. Cardiovascular is great too, walking, things like that. I always recommend definitely some strength training. U.S. guidelines, 2 days of strength training, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy heavy, just nice light dumbbells, kettlebells. It doesn't have to be high intensity. It could be very moderate, just something to increase strength.
And for women, especially with bone density, there is nothing better for bone density. And of course, men can lose bone too. I'm not saying it can't happen to men, because it does. But women are definitely known for it, and weight-bearing exercise definitely has been shown. Regular exercise is great cardiovascular, anti-aging, all that good stuff, but it has not been shown to increase density the way weight training has.
And more women, the older that women get, men too, but as you said, they have more of an issue with osteoporosis.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is after menopause, women, I tell women, all women, hormones are going to fall. That's part of life. Honestly, menopause is going to happen, and hormones fall. Men don't necessarily. We actually have some 80-year-old men come in, they have better testosterone than 20-year-olds. So honestly, in men, their hormones don't fall like women's. So because of that, it definitely affects bone density in women more. I think that's probably one of them. And the less you weigh, the more likely you are to lose bone because you don't have as much to carry around. And, you know, of course, your women are going to be smaller than men most of the time. You know, not always, but most of the time. So that actually does affect the bone density. And weight-bearing exercise is great for that. And, you know, with muscles, there's no doubt aging starts atrophying the muscles. Even working out, it tends to do it, because I get a lot of men that get so mad because they were always one that worked out young, and they still are. And they're like, my muscles aren't what they used to be. That's probably true. It does do that. That's why, well, yeah, but there are things you can do, especially nutritionally, to actually keep up your muscles. On all of our blood panels, we talk about the blood panels all the time, we definitely look at something called DHEA. DHEA is a hormone that is made in the adrenal glands. They call it the aging hormone because, like I said, the older you get, the lower it goes, and then the lower it goes, the older you get. So it is something that is so easily supplemented. Cheapest supplement you can pretty much take just about, but don't run out. Don't go run out and get a bunch, because more is not always better. You want to know your level, and you want to know where it is after you've taken it. But DHEA plays a huge role in helping with that too, because it is a precursor to testosterone. And so both women and men have testosterone. It's not just men. And testosterone definitely plays a role in muscle.
It does, and one of the best ways to increase testosterone, especially in aging males, is to lift heavy things.
Yep, work out.
It's one of the best ways to do it.
Okay.
And limit stress. Actually, stress tends to lower testosterone. Stress tends to mess up everything. There is no doubt.
Oh, so, I know that for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
So stress definitely is not good for muscles or anything, really.
But exercising can help lower stress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And as you said, you don't have to go to you don't have to get a gym membership to go and do all this. You can do stuff at home.
No.
Sure.
You know, especially the older that we get, of course, it's easier if you go to a gym to have, you know, a partner to go with. You can encourage each other.
And they have some of the good circuit trainings for weight lifting, and some people like that structure. And so you just do something, whether it's at the gym or whether it's at home. He has a home gym, so he does a lot of his working out at home.
Makes life easier.
Yeah, so it doesn't take as much time
and I've got
to go
some
back and forth.
different weighted dumbbells at home, like 15, 20, and 25 pound dumbbells that I use. I did study martial arts for a couple of years up until recently, when I moved to, out in the country, bought a house out in the country, so I'm no longer close to where I'm at. So I gave up my membership, but I achieved my goal. I made black belt.
That's good.
Nice.
So and I feel great. I mean, I'm almost 67 years old, and I actually feel great. Anyway, we're talking about the importance of exercise for for muscle health and your muscle health in general. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you, so if you have a question, feel free to pick up the phone and give us a call. We'll take a break and be right back. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock. And welcome back, our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. We're talking about exercising, the importance of it, and muscle health, and I mean, even skeletal health is very important. How important is it to have the proper nutrients in our bodies? And if we're on, say, statins or things like that, can they deplete those nutrients?
Definitely. There are so many medications that deplete nutrients that are essential for muscle. The big one is CoQ10. Coenzyme Q10 is essential. The body produces it because it is so important for muscle and muscle health. They've even found that a depletion of CoQ10 can actually increase congestive heart failure. It can act because the heart is a muscle. So when we're talking about muscle health, we're also talking about the heart. And so if you're taking it, it's not just the statins, it's actually a lot of the beta blockers, a lot of the even some of the diabetic medications. There's a lot of medications that deplete CoQ10. So if you're taking those, you need to replenish what you're missing. And so I always tell people, it's not necessary, we're not saying don't take your medication. We are saying replenish the nutrients that are depleted by what you take. So that's kind of why we're there. We help people. If you come in and say, I'm taking this, what do I need to replenish? Even another thing that's real important in muscles is L-carnitine. Carnitine is depleted by seizure medication. So it is something that is kind of known for that. Even a lot of neurologists put people on carnitine when they're on seizure medication because it is depleted. Magnesium. Magnesium is depleted by so many medications. Magnesium is essential for muscles. When you start looking, there's a lot of things that are needed if you take something that depletes it. So you just have to make sure you're replenishing what you need.
Now, will they find that out, what they're lacking if they come in and get blood work?
Not all that's checked on lab work. I mean, yes, magnesium is. There are certain things that are checked. The vitamin D is, and D is very important for muscles. But you don't, like coenzyme Q10. Yes, we have a test called Nutri-Eval. It does test your CoQ10, and we can test your CoQ10 in your blood as well. It's not on our standard panels, so it's extra. So, but we can test it.
Well, and that test also does a lot of different amino acids and things like that. Amino acids, building blocks of protein, also help to build adequate muscle and keep us from losing muscle. So that, it's a specialty test, but it's really good in checking a lot of things that we can't check, through just regular blood work. So.
Yeah.
All right, got a question. I started getting intense leg cramps. What can I take to help with this?
First, you got to figure out what the leg cramps are coming from. Now, in a lot of cases, it's minerals. Now, if somebody comes in and just says, I have leg cramps, what can I take? A lot of times we'll use our multi-mineral. We do have something called muscle cramp and tension formula. Both of those are stuff you can take. Sometimes you got to look a little deeper. Sometimes muscle cramps can even be back problems. So I always say it really depends on what's causing the problem, but a broad multi-mineral definitely isn't going to hurt. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. What's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's?
Well, Alzheimer's is one of the dementias. So, but there is a lot of different kinds of dementia. There is actually, Lewy body dementia, there's Alzheimer's, and a lot of people have dementia from strokes, and that's not necessarily Alzheimer's either. Alzheimer's is actually a disease process, and unfortunately, it's really hard sometimes to distinguish which type of dementia you have without biopsies of the brain, which they're not going to really do because that causes other problems. So a lot of times they can't tell certain things until after you've already died, unfortunately. But you want to do the same things to help with dementias and do, all the nutrients that are beneficial and the exercise and just staying overall healthy.
I saw a story on Good Morning America this morning where Bruce Willis and his family celebrated his 68th birthday, and he has dementia.
Oh, he does. He has I want to say it's some type of a temporal lobe dementia. I might be wrong, but I've read about. With him, I think that's what they say.
Yeah.
Or maybe a frontal lobe. He has a little bit different type of dementia as well.
Right.
Yep.
Another question: do you have anything to help with shingles?
Oh, shingles. Shingles comes from a herpes virus, and typically we see outbreaks when people have stress and things like that. So we typically, what we use is a product called Olivir, which is in strong olive leaf extract. It's highly antiviral. We'll use L-lysine. L-lysine is a great antiviral used in conjunction with that to help with shingles outbreaks.
All right. Thank
We
you.
get really good results with it too.
Very good.
Very good results. We have people come in constantly with that problem because they don't have a lot that really works for it. And also anything that can boost the immune system as well, because usually it's when your immune system is depleted, probably due to stress. Stress or being run down. So, yeah.
8960713 or 800-349-0713. Exercise and everything, I assume, is good for health issues and and diseases.
Like he said at the beginning, is actually all disease processes can probably be helped by exercising and staying active. There's no doubt that not being active, like they say, use it or lose it. So you got to use those muscles, or they're gonna atrophy, and then you're gonna get weak. And then as people again get mature, they lose balance. Exercise is so important for balance.
Sure.
And when you go to exercise, yoga is a good exercise for people too, for balance. So you got to do balance exercises as you get older too, because I always tell people, bone density is important, but if you fall hard enough, it really don't matter what your bone density is. Because if you hit right, you're gonna break something, because kids break bones because they hit just right. So you got to have balance. So I think balance is very important.
What is muscle mass, and how important is it to your health? I mean, everybody worries about muscle mass and BMI and checking all that.
Well, muscle mass is just the muscle on your body, right? So many important aspects as we've already talked about. Being stronger means you can, do your dailies of living activities during the day more effectively, decreasing bone density, things like that. So, it's kind of the same things we've been discussing.
I guess and as far as your BMI, getting that checked, this is going to be different the older that we get.
Yeah, you want, more lean tissue than fat tissue.
Right,
And
that's more body mass index. The BMI is about how much body fat you have, really.
Yeah.
And of course, the more muscle mass you have, usually the lower body fat you have. It usually does go kind of together. But yeah, you definitely want to keep your BMI. A lot of stuff you'll see, you're at risk more if your BMI is over a certain amount. So there's no doubt, obesity is a problem in this country, and there's no doubt that it affects overall health, lots of health issues, and it makes a big difference. So you want to get your BMI down.
Yeah, definitely.
And he had mentioned protein a minute ago. Protein is important too, and we find so many people don't get adequate protein. And protein is, of course, some people don't know what protein is. I have many people that say, okay, what's protein? Well, that's your chicken, fish, meat. All your meat products, I would say, are protein. You can get protein other ways. You can get it from nuts and seeds, just not as much. And eggs is another good source of protein as well. So there's, but you do need to get your protein because your amino acids are essential for muscle. And that's where you get your amino acids is from your protein. Protein is a bunch of amino acids chained together. Okay. So that makes a big difference in muscle.
All right, 896-0713, 800-349-0713. We have another question from a caller. We'll get to that in just a moment, as well as this week's special. It's 18 minutes after 9 o'clock. And welcome back. It's our final segment, 20 minutes now after 9 o'clock on this very, very cold Monday morning. It's like, what happened to spring?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's take a look at what our special of the week is for this morning.
It's our whey protein. And it's Doctor's Nutrition Whey Protein is the one that's on special. And it's just a really good source of protein. Whey does come from dairy, so if you have a dairy allergy, you probably don't need to do that. And I don't think everybody has to do protein drinks. I think eating your protein is really good, but so many people don't get adequate protein from what they eat. So if you're not getting enough protein, then you do have to do a protein supplement, and something like the whey protein, it really is good. I think it tastes good. I think it's one of our better proteins for taste. It is sweetened with stevia, so it doesn't have a lot of carbohydrates, and it doesn't have any sugar. So, that's good. Yep.
All right. Caller called in with this question. What's best to take to help with memory?
So there's so many things that you can take to help with memory. We have a couple different products. We have a combination of supplements and a product called Memory Core. Ginkgo's great. Ginkgo helps increase blood flow to the brain. Phosphatidylserine is great. It's a fatty acid that helps increase memory. It also helps decrease stress. There's Bacopa. Bacopa helps with memory, and it's very good at also helping you stay calm.
And we have a few combination products which have a lot of what he just talked about. We have Memory Core, we have Memory Pro, and then we have, one of the big things with memory, I tell everybody first, make sure your B12 is adequate. Yeah. Because B12 is so essential. B12 and folate are very essential for the brain and neurological system. And if that's not good, it don't matter what else you take. So make sure, again, we check that on lab work, and we see so many people that are deficient. So that always, you want to help the deficiency there first. So even our B Complex Plus is a good one because it is high in B12 that's actually good for memory. But when you start, memory, there are so many things nowadays that are out for memory. Even the lion's mane mushroom has been shown to help memory. And I like that because it helps the immune system too. So we have one that's called Brain Reset. And it's one of my favorites, but that's another one that's really good as well. So there's a lot of things you can do. That's why we're there to answer questions at no cost. So come by and talk to us, and we'll see what may be best for you. Because if you're on certain medications, like you can't take ginkgo if you're on a blood thinner. So you got to look at certain things and see what is best for you.
All right, another question from a viewer. What exercise to help with arthritis in your lower back? And if you have a lung disease, what is the best exercise to help you breathe better?
Well, to help with the lower back, there's a lot of different exercises. There's a lot of just body weight stuff you can do. You kind of hyperextensions, there's Supermans, things like that. But the biggest thing is really just doing things to strengthen your low back, because arthritis is wear and tear of the joint, and those muscles in the low back become weak. So there's lots of different things you can do for that.
And if you're not sure what he called a Superman,
yeah,
that's
so
when you're laying on your stomach.
Yeah.
If you ever watch Superman fly, he's got his arms up like this,
arms up, legs up,
and everything.
Yep.
So you just lay it on your stomach. No, I'm not going to demonstrate. I can do it, but I'm not going to demonstrate. I have to do it on the table here. But you're just laying on your stomach, and you just
Yeah.
Put your arms up like that and your legs up, and that helps stretch your back.
And if you do have a lung issue, definitely deep breathing exercises. That's it's a good exercise for everybody, not just somebody with lung problems. Deep breathing is very important in keeping the lungs clear, because if you don't take deep breaths, you can consolidate stuff in the lungs and you can actually increase your risk of pneumonia. So you definitely want deep breathing exercises. If you have the internet, you can get on there and you can, there are so many programs out there of deep breathing exercises. Me and my husband's done them before, and they definitely make a difference. You wouldn't believe, you think your lungs are completely clear, and you start doing it and you start saying, man, start coughing up stuff, because it does help clear the lungs, no doubt.
All right, another question. Do you recommend a 1-a-day vitamin for an 82-year-old lady who has just about everything imaginable under the sun? Bless your heart.
I definitely think a good multi is good for everybody.
Sure.
And we have one called Megavites 1 that's a 1-a-day. We also have Megavite Senior that is more than a 1-a-day, and it just depends. Now, some of the things in there you can't take with certain medications. The Megavites 1 pretty much is safe to take with just about anything. So a lot of people like the 1-a-days. And our Megavites 1 is high enough in the things that are in it to help. And then we even have packets that actually have 7 to 9 pills in a pack that is actually a multivitamin, but it even has extra fish oil, it has extra things all in it. So there's a lot of things you can do, but definitely at least the 1-a-day.
All right.
Yep.
Another question. I'm in my 80s, and recently my hands have been going numb lately and waking me up at night. Is there anything I can take to help with this?
Yeah, there's quite a few things you can take to help with that. One of the biggest things, I always recommend checking B12. A lot of people are deficient in B12. B12 is very important for our neurological system. So we see a lot of people with low B12 having that numbness, tingling throughout the extremities. Magnesium is always great, but B12 is a big one. I see that quite frequently.
It is, especially you're in your 80s, and we find that as people age, they don't eat the protein that they need, and they stop eating things like red meat, and that's the biggest source of B12. Right. So B12 is always from an animal source, and you definitely, as people age, they usually stop eating as much meat because it's harder to chew. So it is something that you definitely need checked, and it is easily supplemented if it is the problem. Also, neck problems. You actually, you rule out everything else, and you always want to look at the neck, because if you lay wrong on your pillow, maybe even try a different pillow at night, because that could make numbness. It can actually, the way you're laying at night on your neck can actually affect it.
Well, you see, when people are running marathons and everything, people along the route, they're handing out water and bananas. But I'd heard the bananas are high in sugar.
They are. Avocados are really good in potassium, and I like that better than a banana.
Yeah.
But you're talking about people running marathons too.
Right, that's different, yeah.
You're running 26 miles to have a little glucose there in the middle of a race is not,
don't hurt, right.
For every day, no, but because the bananas are high in sugar, but for somebody running a marathon, they're very depleted.
It's a different situation.
That was a weakness of mine for a while there in the evening.
It's a different situation, and normally they're very healthy.
Peanut butter on top of it.
Yep, they're normally very healthy running the marathons anyway, and like I said, a banana, like he said, you're going to burn it off before the end of the race. But as a day-to-day thing for potassium and muscle, avocados are really good.
Yeah, much better.
Definitely not as easy to eat on the run, though, in a race.
All right, we got about 30 seconds left. Next week,
we're going to talk about, since March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, we're going to talk about colon health and what you can do nutritionally for the colon. And, there's a lot of things you can do for prevention. And
it's a very something that a lot of people deal with, colon cancer.
It is on the rise in young people, and it's kind of scary.
Really?
Oh, definitely. They're showing that it's increasing 2% per year right now, incidence in people under a certain age. It's scary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for joining us again, Dr. Bull. Thank you for being here with us again. And we wish Dr. Fox all the best, that he gets well and comes back soon. Not that we don't enjoy having you here. We'll see you next Monday morning here on the Doctor's Nutrition Show.
For more information on highlighting your business and services on Healthy Living South Mississippi, contact Jim Tabor at 896-1313.